Pedro for the invitation, and they've done a great job. I think you all agree with me. This is amazing. But this trip is very emotional. When Pedro told me about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, that I'm coming here, it was very emotional because last time I was in this beautiful country was 32 years ago. I was here 40 years ago. You know, you're a child, and then you become a teenager, and then after that, life gets serious. You know, your mom and dad tell you to go and study dentistry or medicine or law, whatever. And my journey started from Aachen, funny enough, but not anything laser related. I went there I learned German, and I did a term of civil engineering, and I hated it. It was not for me. So I wanted to do architecture, and a friend of mine said, well, why don't you go to Romania? We have 3 friends who've been to Romania and they do architecture. Okay, let me look at the map. Where's Romania? Okay, there it is, fine. That's okay, from Germany. So I came here, I think it was 1980, and I wanted to study architecture. And they said, well, first you have to learn Romanian. Really? Okay. Let's go and study Romanian. So, you know, when you're young, your mind's like a sponge. You can learn it. You can be an astronaut. So, learn Romanian, and then after that, some friends, again, friends, at that time are very important. You listen to them. And then later in life, you realize they're not always there when you need them. So, they said, no, architecture, don't do it. It's 6 years. I don't know if it's still 6 years. It's 6 years, go and do dentistry. Looking at people's mouths all day long. Number one, my dentist wasn't very sympathetic and nice. I hated him. Number two, I lost a tooth because of him. I still don't have it. And I'm an implantologist. And number three, I don't like to look at people's mouths. I'm an architect, I'm an artist. I used to play music, I used to paint. Believe me, there's a lot of money. I heard money, okay, let's go and study dentistry. So I did 1 term, and then during that term, I met my beautiful wife, who was here as a student. We were in, I think it was Calais Plevne.
And they say a minute an hour.
Yeah, they say a minute an hour. Go and do it. So, and then during that time, I had a scholarship to Paris to study architecture. Wow, Paris, scholarship. Mom and dad are happy, they don't have to pay. So I went to Paris, and they said, well, you have to learn French, you know. Okay. So I started learning French, and then about 2 months later, I called my dad. I'm originally from northern Iraq, so I called my dad. I said, Dad, I have to go back to Romania. And he said, why? What's there in Romania? I said, study is a study. There's one difference. I said, I think I'm in love with someone.
Oh my God.
And I cannot live here in Romania and me in Paris. This architecture doesn't mean anything to me if I'm not there. So we've been married now for 31 years. And I'm very happy we have 2. Two of the boys, one is a dentist, despite his will, and the other one is in marketing. So that's a little bit of story about her. So when I heard Romania, thank you, Pedro. It brought back a lot of lovely memories because we had our best memories in life actually in Romania, believe it or not. So, and in Timai, we used to drive from Bucharest to Mamaia, spend a few days here, and that was amazing. And people, always nice, always been nice. And do you know what's interesting? I've been all over Europe and worked in different parts. Wherever and whenever you see Romanians, they're always nice. It's always the same. You can trust them, they're nice, they're very friendly. So thank you very much. Thank you for having me. So, as I said, a little bit a history about myself and that you know. Let me see, is this working? Yes, it's working. Right, so I'm going to go through a few things initially as a background so you know who I am, or by now you know we're like family now. My first degree, as I said, I did it here in Bucharest. And then I moved to Sweden, well, we moved to Sweden. And in Sweden, they wouldn't recognize our degree at the time. And I was like devastated because I know what it took to study here. It was tough. It was very good. The practical side was amazing. And one of my best friends, who I used to spend every day with him, and most nights with him, studying together, while other people were having fun. But we were studying, and if I tell you his name, you know that we were studying. His name was Sandu. I haven't seen him, I haven't talked to him yet, all these years. But I understand he's going under the name Professor Petr Alexandru here.
Yes,
Apparently he's one of the big names. You know him. Please say hello from me.
Okay.
Tell him I love him and I want to talk to him at some point. So I went to Sweden, but then again it was a blessing in disguise because we had a lot of practice here in Romania. Technologically, we were a little bit behind maybe Scandinavia. So when I went there, they said, well, we don't accept your degree. You have to do dentistry again. And I wanted to do a PhD at the time. I said, no, you have to do dentistry again. Really? I said, okay, maybe in English? No, you have to learn Swedish. Story of my life. So I had to learn Swedish. And after that, I was obliged to study 5 years of dentistry again. But that made me, I don't know, a better dentist. No, I don't think a better dentist, but it made me more curious about dentistry, about the fact that in the beginning I didn't even want to do it, and now all of a sudden this is my life. And I thought, well, if it's my life, I better be very good at it. You know, I don't like half measures, and I'm very curious by nature. So my second degree was done in Sweden, and then later on, Sweden's only 8 million people, all with good teeth. So a very bad place for, that's like being a fisherman on a lake where there's no fish. There's nothing, you know, people just come in, oh, your teeth are lovely, wonderful brushing, wow, oh my God, you can do the kid. Next patient, they come in, oh, how wonderful, wasn't it amazing, you know? And our clinic in Sweden was at top, it was a government clinic, they invested a lot of money in a lot of things, and I couldn't use anything, because people's teeth were fine. So I thought, let me go to a place where teeth are really bad. So I moved to England 25 years ago. It looks like now they're going to kick me out again because of Brexit. So, story of my life, I have to learn another language. Spanish is fun. I'm planning to go to Spain, yes. So, but in England, I took the chance. I did, I think 17 years ago, I did a master's degree in dental implants. And at the time, there were only 18 people with a higher education in implants. Everybody had a weekend course by Nobel and Astra and all these people, and we were 18 people who actually had some sort of recognition. So people who were looking at us as if we knew things. That was fun. And then last year I finished my master's in business administration, because I always wanted to study business as well, so that never happened. So I thought, let me finish an MBA at least for fun. I was actually bored, so I did it. So that's that. Now, let's see how it works. So I practiced in Cambridge with the university that was established 1209. Beat that Donald Trump. It's older than this country. It's amazing. And by the way, we are all friends now, so at the end there's my email. Please, if you come to UK, let me know. I'll take you around, take you for lunch. We talk about ladies as well. So that's where I practice, and so for a while, that's where I did my master's degree in the UK, and they asked me to stay and supervise master's students, so I did it for 7 years. And it's very interesting because it's one thing to know a topic and another thing to teach it. So we had to all go, it was a bunch of us, we had to be calibrated, we had to be taught how to teach others. Because you could be the best in something, but if you cannot pass your knowledge, then it's just here. And we go on courses a lot of time. We spend a lot of money on procedures, on things. And Monday morning you go and like, let me do it. And you can't, because they just could not relay that information to you. So everybody had to be going through that. And currently I'm at the University of Chicago as the adjunct professor at the Department of Periodontology. I have an amazing, amazing department there. And they are very good. They're amazing, but they don't use lasers. So it's my mission to change their mind. It looks like wherever I go, I have a mission. But at least I don't have to learn the language again. Oh. So, let's see. Sorry, my thing is a bit sticky today. Right, so University of Gothenburg, that's the university. We were, after our graduation, obviously, I started with them. In fact, they teach implant from year 4. Very seriously, yeah, they expect you to do it. And on the same level where we were learning implants, he was still there. And this is the reason why some of us are in this room today, together. So I'm always thankful for what he did for us and for the entire world. So I was very sad when he passed away in 2014. But anyway, so we will go there in the morning, and he will be just coming out of the lift, and you see him is like seeing. We just don't know what to say good morning, good evening, good night, I love you, anything, and you just kind of nod, and he will nod, and you go. But I spoke to him twice, so it was amazing. After graduation, after working in the UK, there was something missing, and I found that in dental school they are amazing. They teach you the basics, but then later on you come out and you realize how little you know about dentistry. That was just the basics. So it wasn't until I went to the Pankey Institute in Miami, I spent some time there, and these people are incredible because they make you, I think Pedro Samlo,
yeah.
He's teaching there.
Yeah.
These people make you feel amazing. These people make you cry. These people make you feel like this. These people make you feel like a hero. You are in your seats. Some of them were professors of universities, others were just dentists, and sometimes you just sink in your chair. The things they show, the things they teach, I feel like, oh my God, that was Mrs. Jones. Last week I did this. How did I do this? You just want to disappear because their level of dentistry is perfection. So if you get the chance ever, please do go there. So I spent some time there, and you come back and you're all messed up. The other passions I have, I like to contribute. I mean, we are changing this world one tooth at a time, one smile at a time. So I like to be part of some books. So I'm thankful and honored to be part of 2 books. This is with Brian Tracy, he's a big name in the US, and this one with a few bunch of people, and that's Sir Richard Branson. I don't know if you've heard of him, the guy who owns Virgin Atlantic. So we did the book, and the book was a bestseller, both of them actually, and as a result, we became a best-selling author, which is nice, and that takes you on a journey to meet interesting people like Rod Stewart, and then that takes you into all sorts of other charitable work. So then I started doing charities in Mexico, a bunch of schools. These are all poor orphans who some of them walk in kilometers. They walk probably about 10 kilometers every day to go to school in the mountains. And there were stories that some of them never made it back because the wolves ate them on the way back home, which is really, really tough. So the idea was to build schools near the communities. So we did that, and we were very lucky that we had a team from Hollywood because we were there as doing charitable work, but we were also executive producers of a documentary. We wanted to raise awareness. I'm not saying these things to impress anyone. It's done, it's history, but I just want to say that, what life on this planet would be if everybody, we help each other. So this team came and we wanted to raise awareness, and we had a phone call to say that the documentary was nominated for an Emmy Award, and then both me and my wife, we went to the Emmys, and the film won an Emmy Award, which was really cool. I mean, I'm just a dentist from Cambridge. When I got the phone call, we'd like you to come to the Emmys. Really? And then the funny story was, we went to the Emmys, there was a red carpet, everything, the paparazzis, and they were all there. So we came down, we sat there, and it was a very stiff and rigid Emmy. I'm like, where's Beyonce? Where's Jay-Z? Where's all these guys? And they said, no, this is a serious Emmy. This is for documentaries and, Life on Earth, and I don't know what else, and for news. And I was very disappointed. But then it was nice to be able to hold the Emmy and just talk about it. And one day to my grandchildren, maybe. So education, research, I love education, I love research. So I work closely with some other companies as well. And this is Bordeaux. I speak quite a bit in France. Again, this was in Monaco, I think a couple of years ago, which led me to also meet Prince Albert, which was very nice. He's a very nice guy, very humble. my age, with more fame and money. But that's University of Bordeaux, the anatomy department. These are cadavers. And my research was, I was heavily, before laser, Pedro, I was heavily involved with piezo surgery. So we always look at the latest in piezo. And I was just saying to Dr. Stefan yesterday, I said there's no point of sometimes trying something and say, well, this is the best thing. What you need is you need a whole bunch of them. So these last year were the latest piezos in the world, the latest that are worth mentioning. And we did some tests and we saw, like for like, what they are capable of doing. Because if you just work with one piezo, you might like it very much, or you might actually just stick it into a cupboard. And the same thing could happen to laser if one is not careful. Not that there is competition like piezo, but sometimes something doesn't work the way we want it, and we think it's the machine, it's not us. But a lot of times it's actually us, it's not the machine. So, right, so that's just a little bit, trust me, we'll get there. We'll talk about laser. Now, understanding the science and the art. I'm like I said, I'm curious by nature, and I think I salute you all because I think you guys, to be here on a Saturday afternoon, I think we are the 1%, or maybe the 1% of the 1%. Regardless, if you have a laser, congratulations. If you have both machines, congratulations. If you don't have any, still congratulations. That means you're on the path to get one after my lecture. So, no, but seriously, we are the 1%. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Now, because we are the 1%, we need to be curious. We need to ask questions. I'm not one of those guys, you give me a device, and I just run with it. I need to know why. Yes, maybe if Pilar tells me some settings and things, I will probably trust it blindly, and I do it because she's done 2 million of it. But generally, if someone from a company comes, and they have a great device, and I know about it, of course, we want to see the research behind it. But again, research is not always everything. Some people always hide behind that. They ask the companies 2 million questions. What's the validation of this? What's the research? What's that? What's this? What's this? And everything leads to greatness. And in the end, they turn their back. No, I don't want this. Well, why did you ask all those questions? Are you just cheap? You don't want to buy it. So be curious. But here with laser especially, we need to understand the biology. One of my mentors, one of my implant mentors in America, big name there, he said, he told me once, he said, Diyari, you can only ask God for 1 miracle a day. He's not going to give it to you. He said, but if you understand the biology, you might get away with 2, 3 miracles. Because you will say, thank you very much for understanding my creation. Now you understand why this is there, so you work with it. So always work with nature, not against it. Because then nature will work with you. The amount of time with laser, with piezo, with everything, with, I don't know, all the stuff we have. You go into a site and you think like, you know what? My gut feeling tell me I should maybe just leave alone this site for a while. And you know what? Your gut feeling probably is right. Because gut feeling is an accumulation of experience and other things, and things you've heard, things, you can never teach gut feeling to anyone. It's only in you, all right? So, understanding the science and the art of what we do. So be the master of whatever you do. Okay, so there's a big prize. Pedro is from, I don't know if you know, but Pedro is from Spain. So he said, if anybody can guess what that is or where that is, this I+, you can have it for free. Is that Pedro, right? So, I don't think you're allowed to answer this question. Yeah. So, what's this first, quickly? Mona Lisa, exactly. Where is that?
In the Louvre.
In the Louvre, of course. Who doesn't know that? Except Louvre, with 6 people. That's a Mona Lisa. And that's a Louvre. Aha, so where is that?
Spain.
Dubai.
Spain.
Actually, soon. We'll all be in Dubai soon. Now, that is done at the same time in the 1500s, and that at the moment is in, I think it's Museo del Prado in Spain, in Madrid. If you have the chance, go and see it. It's amazing. I mean, Madrid is like, oh my God, I want to go back just for the museums. It's just art, unbelievable in that country. But anyway, they reckon, they've done some calculations, they've done some other things. They reckon that Leonardo, was painting, and this student was actually a meter or two behind him. I was reading a lot about it just to see how come. And he was actually looking at the lady and looking at him. That's like me looking over the shoulder of Stefan when he does lasering. I'm like, okay. So the idea is, could I do something similar if I'm behind Leonardo? Well, I tried, you know. Let's see the result of mine, if this button allows me. There it is. That's like my first laser treatment, you know? So the idea is, folks, that if you learn something, if you got the methods and you learn something properly, you understand that this guy, I don't know his name, this guy certainly understood brush strokes. He understood color composition. He understood light. He understood medium. He understood a lot of things. That's why we all thought, that's Mona Lisa. Well, it is Mona Lisa, that's a different picture. In fact, I think that's much nicer than that. So yeah, in the coming years, coming months, coming this, coming that, we hear people. I mean, since yesterday, I'm a better dentist. Today, seriously, I learn things from Stefan. I'm learning things from Pilar. I'm learning things from other colleagues. My colleague from Israel. We talked today. It's amazing when you interact what you learn, and but when you learn, apply it in the correct way. And I think one thing that these BioLace people have done is to create these protocols, which we're going to go and show you later, which I think is amazing, because it allows you to follow that route, like a motorway or autobahn, or you can digress if you know enough about the biology of the machine, and that will still be okay. But it's knowing the methods. So this guy certainly knew exactly the method of Leonardo. That's why he could do something similar. Which means that with the right hands, if we're curious enough and we know the biology and we work well and we're all good, remember, we are the 1%. Never forget that. If one day you are down, remember, you are the 1%. 1% never be down. The 99% can be down. Remember, we can do this. There's no case we all can do that somebody in this audience cannot do. And I'm fairly new. I'm much newer than these guys. I mean, I had diet for 17 years. I started with a diet from Sirona. It's called Sirolabs. It came out. It was so expensive that they with a laser they had to ship me all the way to Germany to teach me how to use it. You know, all expenses paid. Pedro?
Yeah.
You heard that? All expenses paid. No, they don't. No, there's no laser. So, but no, seriously, how many times did I use it? Before I got my EPIC. 2 years before that, we actually stopped inviting the radiation protection advisor to come to the practice because it was just a useless, meaningless thing. She was coming every year. It was 800 pounds, which is now 800 euros when she left, for nothing, because I used the diet once or twice. There was all sorts of things to touch and do this and do that. And so having these protocols make it very easy, understanding the biology. Understand when you hold that, what does it hit? Why does it hit it? What happens? If you do that, I think you agree with me that you're halfway there. You're halfway there. So that was my first diet. Now, why I bought the laser? I was actually a few years ago, like I said, I had diet for 17 years, but I'm new to the ergonomic. I was giving a lecture, a bit like this, and Pedro was there. It was a dark day in my life. No. Pedro was there, and he was giving a talk about laser. And for the last 20 years, I'm a hardcore implantologist. Although my role in In Chicago is that Department of Periodontology. And it's funny how periodontists took over the world of implants. You guys are supposed to be saving teeth. What's with this thing you're placing? Leave it to the others. So I think, I don't know if it was these images, but he showed something similar, like this. And you know what? I was sold on the spot. I actually, before we went, I think it was in Poland, I told Pedro, I said, when we go back to the UK, please get somebody in touch with me. So it wasn't a hard sell, Pedro, was it?
No.
No, it was easy. And ideally, I want every one of you to think like that. You know, when I see this, I do implants all day long. And for me, this is like, whoa, money in the bank. Just out, grabs his implant. But then I thought, whoa, if I do this, I'm like Superman. Money, Superman, money, Superman. I think Superman is cool. Any idiot can have money. I thought, imagine what kind of hero you become when you do that, these kind of things. And then he showed a few other x-rays with implants that he saved, and I thought, great, great. Because the more implants you do, as you know, the more what you get? Failure. The more you see pus, the more you see all these peri-implantitis, all these lovely words, it becomes like a daily vocabulary. So that's why I got it, to save teeth, not to do anything else. So in the title, it was what we know, it was all about the controversies and advances, what we know, what we think we know, and what we don't know yet. Well, what we don't know, probably we don't know what we don't know, so that's fine. But I don't want to pretend that I know everything. I don't want to pretend that everybody else knows everything, because that would be a big lie. I think we are still in the process. Laser is not new, but I think it will always be new, because it's always about the 1%. Okay. So, looking into lasers, what we already know. Well, we know we can manage periodontal problems, managing implants, wound and pain management, crown lengthening or surgery, cavity preparations, fine. Implant is the main title of today, so we thought we'd get to speak on that, but Pedro told me, please talk a little bit about diet as well, so that's fine. Anyway, I'm just curious, I'm curious. So, by the show of hands, how many people have both lasers? Both lasers. Fantastic, fantastic. How many people have just a diode? Which means plus the other ones here. How many people doesn't have a laser, but they want to get one, they're interested in one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you go with Pedro to the other room. And we'll see in about 10 minutes. What are you doing? Go and get one. No, congratulations for being in the room. That means I respect you. I respect you. Right, managing implants. Where do we use it? Actually, my colleague today, she showed another use for it at the bottom, which I missed. But anyway, we use it for pre-placement, extraction, socket preservation, socket decontamination, add placement, site access preparation, obviously accelerated healing process, which is one of my favorite, and then post-placement. And this is where the tsunami happens, with the peri-implantitis and all that. Implant recovery is quite nice, and soft tissue management to an extent. So, oh, yes, I want to buy one, but which one? Well, today you have no choice, it's balance. And I am glad you don't have a choice, because from what I hear, I mean, I had a Sirona diode, it ended up in a box, in a cupboard, and I never used it again. Where is it? The Epic X, I use it probably 3-4 times a day. In fact, when I did my MBA, my thesis was an actual research, and I did it on the integration of laser in a dental practice, just to see, is it just because I want to have a gadget, or does it make a financial sense? And it made absolute financial sense. Absolute financial sense. So I use it quite a lot. For some things we charge, for some things we don't charge. For certain things, it makes my life easier. I don't want to be there in front of the patient every 5 minutes asking for money. Certain things, I'm taking an impression. I need some profit. Or would I charge an extra €5 for that. No. It's a bit like autoclave. It's a bit like having a nice, smooth, elegant dental chair. There are things in dentistry where we have to learn that we have to buy them, and we cannot always charge for it. They make life easy. But I'm charging. I've learned to charge more. In fact, last time I met Pedro, he gave me a few ideas, and now I'm just presenting. Pedro, since last month we spoke, just casually, and I only work 3 days a week, out of the water lace, not the bio lace, not the epic, sorry, out of the water lace last month, and this is very, 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 I was just casually talking to people, I think we generated about £7,000. Not that.
Money making machine.
That was extra on top of what we were already doing. So if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have said those things. That's why I was thinking of getting another one, the Express. Right, my advice is this. This little buddy here is less expensive than this big boy. Pedro will hate me for this, but it's okay. He's a lovely guy, very, very, very transparent. I know he doesn't mind. Everyone should have an Epic. By today, if you go out of here, you should have an Epic, and they are. Between these two, I got this one because I thought my son, who's a dentist, will be doing preparations, especially on kids. It's amazing. But at the moment, he's not to his full potential. Otherwise, I think this would have been more than enough for me for what I do in terms of implants, soft tissue, and even hard tissue. So if you know that you don't do any cavities or anything like that, don't deprive yourself from this one. Don't leave the decision for too long. Because life is not going to wait for anyone. So get one of the two, either way. This is nice to have because it will cover everything. This one, it's beautiful, it's amazing, it does most things. And when I asked what's the difference, that's what exactly they told me. They said, that's what it is, they're both very good. But this one, you can rest assured that it does everything. You can do that, go for that. So, obviously today is a BioLace day, so we're going to talk about just lasers from BioLace, which I'm more than happy to talk about because I believe in them, I love them. And the more I use them, the more I'm fixated on using them for more and more indications. So we have for some of you who probably are new to this, so we have the all tissue lasers, and that's hard and soft and everything, and and this is the diode lasers for mainly soft tissue and whitening and photobiomodulation. Now, just a quick reminder. Obviously, this is the light spectrum in medicine lasers. So there's your diode. It's there. So if you look at this, to give you some idea, that's X-ray around this area. That's UV, we should avoid, and visible light. You go microwave, and then you got the diode here, and you got the Evans chromium there. How do they work? The Evans chromium, they love water and hydroxyapatite. The diode laser likes color, pigments, melanin, hemoglobin, that kind of stuff. And that's why, I forgot who mentioned this morning, was very, very good point. If you are in the pocket and you go with non-initiated, just don't spend too much time, and if you see blood, make sure that, because blood will initiate it will pre-initiate the tip for you. So we know these names. I thought I just put them there because sometimes people wonder what does Erwin Yag means, or Andy Yag, and I don't know who came up with these names, but it's a description of what they are, where they come from. Right, so these are absorptions curves of the various components in biological tissue. So this is the first step of understanding what happens. Who gets attracted to who? That's very important. Hence why when you use the water lace here, it works very well in moisture, it works very well with water, and there's a fine jet of water that comes out, it just enhances that function. And again, water lace, the way it works is like fine, very, very fine micro explosions of the water molecules. And then if we just look at this, we see, for instance, enamel, 5% water, dentate 22. This is interesting. Diseased tissue, 90% water. Yeah, so it has an affinity. This one here, we have the high level laser treatment therapy and the low level. Now, the low level is, I have a funny story I'll tell you in a minute about low level, which is quite interesting. So they get attracted to blood, melanin, and some water. Okay. So we're gonna just start with the bias for 2 minutes. Just a reminder that the entire talk today is just an overview of things. So these are the indications, the main indications for the diode. It's in the literature. You can look it up. It's very interesting. But again, the biostimulation here, to me, that's quite amazing. I think it's underlooked. If I'm honest. Right. So this is not new. Way before this, there's been published articles. By the way, do you know 1998? I was just looking the other day, I was curious, because usually when you talk, you don't put anything, before 2014, 13, whatever, 2007 maybe, because we all want to see new things. But I looked at this study, which was interesting, and I was looking 1998, what happened. That year, Microsoft was the richest company in the world. We all loved Britney Spears, apparently. And that was the year for Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, apparently. Not very important, but it's a historical fact. So these people, they examined the long-term effect of diet in periodontal pockets. 50 patients, 2 groups, control, everything's going according to plan. 6 appointments, 6 months following that. Hydrogen peroxide on one side instead of laser treatment, results and conclusion. There we have it. So the adjunct treatment with the diode laser was very, very good. The inflammation was less, and there was less bleeding on probing compared to the control group. Well, that was 1998. Everybody happy. So why not? There is a diode laser in every practice. Then this study that looked into a 1-year randomized controlled clinical study. This was a trial 2017. Same thing more or less. They looked at, but they looked at certain parameters. And at 1 year, the diode laser therapy resulted in significant reduction in some clinical parameters. However, more RCT studies are required to look into why the inflammatory mediator changes were not significantly reduced. So there was a problem there. They looked at everything was fine, it was nice, until they looked at these ones here, and they found out, oh, there's no change. This group was the same like that group. And that's a controversy we have to deal with in science. That's part of it. Not everything is black and white. All these years we've been well, until 3 days ago, we've been giving chlorhexidine to people. And this morning I learned something new. I'm gonna go home and try it, see what happens. Maybe he's right, maybe he's not. Maybe somebody else come later who will contradict him. And those are controversies we always have to deal with. It doesn't mean something is bad or unless if every single study says don't use it, that's a different story. But we get this. Right, so indications for diode laser. These are the kind of things I use all the time in the practice. We do Invisalign. We don't do braces like this. I refer them to you with a ticket all the way to Cairo. By the way, I want to see everyone in Cairo, please. Please. This is a request from a friend. It's a lifetime opportunity to be with this amazing guy and in that amazing country. So we do a lot of this, definitely. We do that, these kind of things. And this is the kind of thing, what do you charge for that? Nothing. That is chargeable. Don't you see? Yeah. What do you charge for that? Nothing. Well, what do you charge for that? Nothing. Yeah, a patient came to me, she gave me a list because she moved dentist. I kid you not, the list of things she's having was 3 pages. It was implant recovery with diode, £120. That's like in a restaurant, you know. There's your chicken, and then there's another €5 for the fork, and there's €5 for the, for the knife. It's just crazy. Why don't you just build it in and do everybody a favor? Frenectomy, yeah, chargeable. Gingivectomy, chargeable. Soft tissue crown lengthening, well, yes and no. Chargeable, probably. And definitely, I would say, probably chargeable, unless if we do in our practice a lot of Invisalign. And I know in Invisalign we don't deal with this kind of thing because maybe adults. But if I get something like that, it's part of the service. Why don't you do it? So some might wonder, okay, I want to buy a laser. I'm excited. I want to get one. But which one do I get? The iLaser, the Epic X, the Epic Pro. The Epic Pro is the big daddy of these other ones. So if you're a heavy laser user and you want your indications to kind of widen, then I'll say probably go for that. Epic X does most things. I have an Epic X, and I think we will soon go for another one. I just want to have another one in another room. I don't want to move. And besides, my dad now, he lives in Sweden, and once or twice he had some things, we use the Epic X, and I'm supposed to be giving them in the next few weeks on the phone. He said, don't forget to bring your Epic X. He knows the name Epic X. And he's 85 years. Don't forget to bring your Epic X. Okay, Dad, it's illegal, but it's okay, I'll bring it. And then the iLace for hygienists. And I think the iLace is also nice to have it as it's a quick thing. So if you look at the Epic Pro, you know, there's an English proverb that says that the proof. So you look at this, for instance. I think this was with Picasso. Andrew, I think Picasso.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, this was from your literature at Bale. So this was Picasso, and this is Epic Pro. Look how neat that cup is. And in fact, that's a bit neater than even the Epic X. Sorry, that's the Epic Pro. Yeah. This is my favorite. Now, I was going, one of my students, she learned how to do implants, so she was excited, she was doing her implants, and occasionally when she needs sinus lifts or something like that, she asked me to go, bone graft, whatever. So I go there, and we do it, and I'm very proud of her. She does the implants, and then she grabbed these things out, and she kind of putting it there, and doing things with it, and I goes, what are you doing? This was before I had the Epic. I said, what are you doing? She said, oh, you don't know, this is amazing. I know this. This is not amazing. I was ignorant, you know, and then when I got mine, again, for the first month or two, I forgot about it. I actually forgot I had the handpieces. Until one day my assistant got out. What's this for? Let's use it. Do you know what? I now swear by it. Quite a percentage of my clinic is this. I guess when I do it, sometimes I get cases where patients need to spend an hour, 2, 3, when you do implants. I actually use all the muscles just to relax them before we do anything. I call it massage, a muscle massage. You know? We all love, how many people like to go into a sauna on a cold day? We all like it, because it soothes us, it gives us relaxation. Sauna, the heat from sauna, normal sauna, it will only penetrate your skin by a few millimeters only. There's infrared saunas. The heat will penetrate 2 inches. And it has a lot of health benefits, including drainage. You know, because it dilates your blood vessels, muscles relax, everything. This does the same thing. So why not use it before, or why not use it after? So I'm really, really, really a big believer in this. So it's adjunctive periodontal therapy, TMD disorders, surgical wounds, stomatitis, oral bursitis, osseointegration, bone regeneration. There's a lot of research around those things. Extraction site management. Again, these are just what it does. I'm just going to not read them, just go through them quickly. One button at a time. One button at a time. And this is how it works. So photon energy, it excites the mitochondria, increases ATP, cellular energy regeneration, more energy in tissue, increased vitality, healing and pain relief. Hallelujah. That's the main thing. And this is nice to know this. Why he's doing it. Oh, sorry. Shall I go back? There's a photo. I thought you missed the photo. So, again, they looked at LLLT, low-level laser therapy, with Ostel. This was in rabbit, poor rabbits. They're everywhere in the research. And look at the control and look at the experimental. So the LLT can result in greater implant stability and greater volume of peri-implant newly formed bone, which means what? Loading. If you like to load your implants early, this is a good way of doing it. Right? I mean, that's the whole point we take. And I understand, Radu, you guys have the Penguin, which does a similar job. It reads the osseointegration. And I think it's a great device. I heard about it. So again, more rabbits have been killed. By the way, rabbit is a almost like a national food in Egypt. Am I right?
Not naturally.
Not national food. I don't know. I'm vegetarian anyway, so I'm against it. So results of this one. Look at this high bone to implant contact. You guys see more collagen fibers. So LLLT at an energy density of whatever had a significant positive effect on new bone formation around the tooth. Again, new bone. So, and the literature is full of this. So you have the Epic X. Believe me, it's not just for cutting. It's for this. I love this side. So now to the big boys here, to the all-tissue laser. We use them for periodontal therapy, oral surgery, implant therapy, cavity preparations, and even this one does a little bit, but not like this one. Endo, I don't do endo, but I hear good things. Pedo and soft tissue, hard tissue management. And if you want to see the entire clinical indications, I think it's in the literature outside. You can read it. And occasionally you go through this and you think like, oh, I haven't done this one for a while. So you keep looking for things because now you have a device, which is quite interesting. Right, so periodontal therapy. So we know that it's on the rise. It's always a big problem. And until you look and you find that 75% of adult population develop a periodontal infection at one point. So that's a lot of people in the red, 75%. Now our aim is to move these people and make them more green that way. And so there's a strong evidence that, of course, as an adjunct therapy to SRP, and we saw a few cases today, we see more that will be moved from the green, from the red into the green. There will be some people who will hovering around there. These are, smokers and I call them the bad gene people. no matter what you do to them. I've got a patient like that. He drives me crazy. We've thrown everything at him, and there's no way. Right. So it requires the effective elimination of the pathogens. That's all we do. Periodontology. We are removing pathogens, making the environment better for the body to heal itself, and laser certainly can help big time in that, not just the effective operation of the laser, but also the LLL2. So the 5 objectives of periodontal laser protocol are these things. Number 1, reduce eliminate bacteria, degranulation, remove toughness, decontamination and detox of the root surface, and then promote repair. That's all there is to it. Let's not make it more complicated than that. And because it's not complicated, and it's quite easy, and remember the Mona Lisa? There's a formula. So BioLace has prepared a protocol for repair, quite nice and easy, and they even created the tips that go with it, such as this tip where it doesn't fire directly, it fires to the side, so 85% of the energy comes on the side. So that way, if you are down in the pocket, you're hitting the root surface, but you're also hitting the soft tissue at the same time. And it's minimally invasive. I think we all agree that, unlike many, many years ago, we are not doing as many surgeries as we used to do, especially for people who were doing periodontal surgery. Again, the repair protocol, very easy to follow, step by step. It even tells you, I think the little laser machine does even have animation. So if you even forgot how to move your hand, it will show you how to move your hand. So it's really idiot proof. Anyway, so this is probably a perimucositis more than anything, but I just wanted to show you that quick video. There was a pocket here. Shame I don't have the X-ray here. So we do some de-epithelialization. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too excited. This was the early days when I had this. I was kind of getting all the way up and down, and I loved it. But I think 5 millimeters will be enough around the margin. You don't need much more than that. And at some point, it will change. And I think we did, in between, we did also some, just some descaling with a descaler. Of this talk or this meeting, but there's a difference between scalers and scalers, so be careful what you get. Not all scalers are the same. Yeah, so basically that just carries on, and we see some gum coming out later. Because we have lots of other materials. Okay. So lasers in implant therapy. Nowadays I use it quite a lot for the preparation of the site. We certainly use it for recovery, and then for peri-implantitis and treatment post-placement. So pre-placement, extraction, socket, decontamination, preservation or placement. You want to preserve it, you want to place it, it's up to you. Again, extraction here, I tried with the laser. Nice and easy, there was not much drama. That was fine, and then decon, and then we see blood, fresh blood flowing from there. Again, in the literature, there's exactly step by step how to do this, and then the implant goes in, and I did some lower level laser therapy there, and we asked the patient to come back again, and we do it more, and that should be okay, hopefully. These kind of things, before, probably I used to clean a lot of that, and maybe graft it and leave it alone. Nowadays, I'm more encouraged to place an implant because I know how effective my laser is. Again, there's a ton of evidence out there suggests that when you use a laser and use it properly. And this morning, I was talking to someone I forgot, and just gave me a tip about this. We were just talking, and they said, well, I use the tip like this. I'm like, huh? Thank you very much. This trip was worth it for that and many other reasons. So yeah, it's great. Once you decontaminate this, well, the bone is excited, is bleeding, is happy. It's like a dog happy to go out for a walk. You know, why don't you take it for a walk? Place an implant, graft it, do something. Don't just leave it like that, because bone is a funny animal. When bone is excited, take the opportunity. So 2019, 20th of August. That's like, what? Now. Come on. We call this a sticky button. Sticky. So post-extraction site infection was introduced 66 patients, and 94 post-extraction implants, surgery, socket decontamination was performed. They used this one, BIOS, dissolvable membrane, 11 implants immediately loaded, 83 implants loaded after 6 months evaluated, and then 6 months follow-up, and then 4 years follow-up. So presumably this was obviously the end of that period. Results and conclusions. Success rate was 94.6%. I like that. That's something I'll put in my marketing, you know. No socket showed residual infection. Interesting. Because you think without the laser, maybe this thing still works. You know? But no residual infection, that's another thing. I want that every day of the week. So, according to this, yeah, it was a very useful tool. Remember, laser is nothing but just another tool. Scalpel is a tool, handpiece is a tool, and laser just happens to be an amazing, magical tool. So they recommend that this work, and this was after 4 years. And I like that because it's not a short period, it's not 1 year, 6 months, a few months only. At placement, again, we use it like that. Sometimes there's a frenectomy, I do it at the same time. Versus this, which we still do. I don't say that we don't use a scalpel, but it's much messier. So this case, it was just implant site preparation. I think it's only 3 minutes, 2 minutes. But first, I just wanted to get this out of my way. Going a little bit slow, probably just getting gentle. Remember, this might sound extremely aggressive, but usually it's powerful, don't get me wrong, but it's not aggressive as we think. In fact, the diet can be more aggressive and even more dangerous if we are not careful. To the extent that when we use the big one, we only give the glasses, the safety glasses to the patients. We don't wear them. But for the diet, it's a must. And 3 days ago, I had a radiation protection advisor come to my practice, very famous one. He does lots of hospitals in the UK, and he said the same thing. He said, for the big one, you don't need to, because the energy doesn't travel far. But with the diet, yeah. So we get the typical diamond shape here. Maybe I would have taken a little bit more there now looking at it. Sometimes you look at your own films and images and you think, I could have done a bit more there and a bit more there. So, but it's very satisfying. Look at that clean side. You know? And this guy has a very, very thick tissue, thick biotype. Cover it quickly here. Okay, I'm getting faster. Yeah, for some reason these videos I cannot speed them up, so that's why some of them will just move over. But look how clean that is. I think I'm actually going on and on and on about it here because I just love it. The way that behaves, the way that works. And don't forget, with cutting, when we cut with the scalpel, nothing else happens. We cut, it's bleeding, that's it. This one here, it disinfects at the same time. It later on, when I think we see this later in a half a minute, you see the healing, and you just see how amazing that healing is in that area, without leaving any scarring tissue, without leaving anything behind. So, yeah, I think we just went a little bit further there. Okay, so this was 5 months later. Okay. Look. So, and the difference between this one for uncovering and diode, I don't know. I prefer this one only because it's neater, it's cleaner. You know, the diode sometimes you get a bit of a charring. It gets black. You have to keep wiping it. But otherwise, it's great. But so I already have the CT scan of this gentleman, so I knew how many millimeters to this side gentleman was. Anyway, so the rest is very easy. We just expose the next one and put a healing color. This one, I'll just show you the beginning. I'm using comments. So this was a sinus lift and implant placement with water lace. I didn't place a lot of implants with laser. It was usually the side preparation, but not the ostotomy one. This one, to an extent, it was probably 80% done with the water lace. Obviously, you have to have good scans. You know exactly where you are. You measure 5 times before you go in. And again, we usually don't work in that mirror, but I had to put it because of my camera. I just want to show you a second here what happened. So I think we're just dealing with the soft tissue at the moment, just kind of creating, starting from one dot and creating. And at the same time, I'm trying to anticipate and predict where I want things to be. So I'm also planning for the future. Because based on that, later on, I'll be choosing my healing apartment. And okay, so now we're dealing with the bone now. Again, in this case, the width of the ridge was quite nice and wide, so there was no problem there. I knew the depth was 7 millimeters. And I know this laser is very safe because it does not penetrate all the way, so I had to advance gently, and I kept measuring with a probe, and I think by about 6 millimeters, so I stopped, and I used my piezo just for that last infracture. I know some people use the laser all the way through. I haven't got to that level of confidence yet. I probably need to try it elsewhere. But it's doable. Bone graft, this is a bone graft gel called Gel 40. I like it because it kind of lifts the membrane. Implant is in. And on the same patient, we did this patient needs a lot of period treatment, so this is not any protocol or anything. It's just me excited. I've got a laser in my hand and I'm going into the pockets to do some debridement. And he's coming back for proper periodontal therapy. Especially since I'm dealing with that side, I thought let me just get out as much as I can now. Right. Okay, never mind. I think there was a video there, it's okay. So bone regenerative size. Okay. So yeah, this is interesting because years ago, remember the picture of Bronemark? Those days, if you're a smoker, they wouldn't even talk to you regarding implants. If you're above a certain age, They wouldn't even talk to you. If you have diabetes, go home. They place an implant, and then you have to wait for a year for second stage. You have to go every Sunday to church. You have to pray. You have to be a good person. You have to be a good neighbor. And maybe your implant will work. And then, of course, there was this whole thing, and this is also different. You know, again, you look at studies. Study is very important because a study could be done in Italy, where probably 90% of adult male population are smoking. You do the same study in Sweden, they don't smoke, but they do use chewing tobacco. You use the same study somewhere else. So it's very important. Look at all these figures. So what they did here, they tried to see if bone grows in simulated smokers. So they got these poor rats. It's the problem when you're a vegetarian. You even feel sorry for rats. So 100 animals in 4 groups: trepine, drill, laser, and laser without cigarette smoke. So what they did, they had the they did all this, and they were smoking cigarettes, and they were kind of put them on these rats. So that's why he's not very happy. So they found out that the use of the erbium chromium stimulated the bone repair despite the smoking, which is actually good news for smokers, good news for dentists. Now, I'm not going out there and market smoking and implants, you know, because we know there's a big issue there. But it just shows the potential of this thing, because up until now, we did not have anything. We could not combat that. Somebody smoked, or they smoked behind our back and they didn't tell us, and something happened. It was like, I told you so. You smoked. Now you can bring this. You say, I'm not a rat, but look, you know, it can work. So just another way of saying this thing actually does stimulate the bone very well. Does it make sense? Yes. Post placement, of course, we have uncovery, and yeah, down there I think I'm using the diode. Again, you can do all sorts of things like this on purpose. Nothing is working there. So that one down there, obviously, I just added some composites only for 10 days or so. Patients coming back with impression. I just want to have a nice profile. Then we'll make them probably another type of temporary or something like that there. Again, these ones done with diode, probably 2.5 weeks. I will put the healing abutments, and look how wonderful they look. Look at that healing. And that's the final job there. So lots and lots and lots of evidence regarding peri-implantitis. It's like a magic word nowadays. And BioLace has a protocol for that too. And I love this. I love this protocol, but more than the protocol itself, I love we're going to go through these very quickly. Conclusion again, the regenerative osseous surgery without complications and high level of satisfaction. Both patient and dentist were happy. This is from Dr. Rana Al-Falaki. She's one of my colleagues in the UK. I have huge respect for her. And they did a study, and they found out that the assessment after 6 months was the pocket depths were from 664 average to down to 297, and that is very impressive. Now, how do we maintain this? That's a different story, another talk for another day. So we are still in the repair, more studies, everything pointing in the same direction. I love this, you know, making the ideal environment for bone growth. So if you use the erbium chromium, you just increase the potential of nature to help you to work. Remember what we said in the beginning? Work with nature, not against it. So some people who are not in this room, 99%, they might think, oh, laser is too aggressive. You're cutting, you're burning, you're doing this, you're doing that. No, you're actually helping nature. So, periodontal implants, I think another colleague today had this study, which actually read it, is quite interesting. Again, they compared a laser with airbrimiac and a plastic scaler, and they found out here that pointer is gone, but they found here, this is the laser, this is the hand scaler. Look at the bone, the white is the bone. Look how much the bone, compared to the other one, has actually healed upwards, which means it's encouraging newly formed bone to grow. And that's exactly what we want. Every drop of bone is important when we treat. They actually, this was I think in dogs, and they induced periimplantitis, or they introduced. A systematic review, which is always a very valid piece of literature to look at. Non-surgical laser therapy may be considered as phase 1 therapy. So these guys were a bit skeptical. It's okay. We agree that skepticism is healthy. So they said, we don't say use it for everything. It's not the mother of all solutions. But if it's used at phase 1, I think that's good. Well, that's good in my books. I like phase 1. Again, under literature review, longer studies, follow-ups. So these are the controversial side of things. They don't agree with everybody, but glad we have these people, so the other people can work harder to prove that these things work. Implant repair. This is the side firing tip, which I think is an amazing little gadget. So that was an implant I placed in 2013. This was X-ray 14. You see the bone. It's okay by me. Everything looks good. Not too bad. I would say this side maybe. This year he came back like that, and if we pressed it, there was pus. And now when you see the X-ray, you understand why. In my opinion, I think this is a self-inflicted problem, because the guy did this. What we do when we place implants, we always tell people, we will follow you for 3 years, free of charge. You don't need to pay anything. Just come here, we have a look, we take X-rays. If something's not right, this guy just disappeared, like most people do. Even if you get them for free, they still disappear, because they had enough, they don't have. Or maybe they suspect something. This guy, later on, he told me, he said, I went back to smooth. I'm not sure if that's the only problem there. Maybe he ignored the brushing. I don't know, but he came back like that, which was devastating. So we went into the protocol, followed it step by step, and there's a little short sequence here about the side firing tip. And basically we are just more or less following the protocol. That's why I think it's so nice and so good of BioLace to do this for us. This way you can never go wrong. It tells you what tip to pick. It's all in there. All the settings are all pre-programmed, just like your diode. So that's the side firing tip. As you can see, it has a little notch there, little plastic end. So whichever direction you put that plastic, it will fire in the opposite direction, which is great. In fact, BioLace, I think it's on the website, there's a video of an implant with some paint on in some water, and they show you how this works, and you can see how the paint is just dispersed off that implant. But this is not something to do with this. It's not a magic wand. You can't just go there thinking that's done. You really have to, just think, you have to go thread by thread. You clean one thread. How long does it take for a thread to clean? You go to another thread. Pretend this is a flap, you got the threads, and you actually go over it. You don't just go quickly. So just use that speed. You see I've turned that thing a little bit, so now we do this side. Later I'm going to turn it to the other side. There we go, very easy. So Theodore, whoever thought of this was genius.
Yeah. Some magic tip, magic place.
And anyway, so that's that.
So we are running a little bit
We'll push
over
it.
time.
Yeah, we'll push it. Well, talk to Razvan, not me, because he was the guy with all the songs. I'm showing science. He was teaching people how to dance. No, we'll go through it. Conclusion, there you go.
Yeah.
It's your lucky day. So we know that we have the repair mechanism here. We know that when it comes to laser, who goes in a little bit in the tissue, who goes in too much, who is the dangerous one, your epic X. Don't think because it's little and cute, it's not dangerous. It's like Jackie Chan, he's cute but very dangerous. So we know about the repair, we know about the repair implant, and of course, same thing when you use it even in freshly implant site. This site was prepared with laser only. Initially, you have no bone. You know with a drill, when you drill, you got the thread. So your implant goes through the threads and you got bone initially. But you generate heat, you generate all sorts of things. With this one, initially you don't have any bone. And then later on, this is about, I think it's about a month later or something like that. Look at that bone, how much bone there is. Reloading. So, in the end, vă mulțumesc.